We first came racing here in 2013. Marc Marquez has won 6 out of the 7, and he bosses the lap records as well. Is he going to win on his return here to COTA after falling out of the lead 2 years ago and handing over his trophy effectively to Alex Rins? His best race lap still stands from 7 years ago, a 203.5. Many overtaking hot spots. Turn 1 comes to mind, but this was a couple of years ago. The battle between Alex Rins and Valentino Rossi into turn 12 at the end of the straight. Coming up next then in MotoGP, can Pecco make it 3 in a row? The Italian is on pole once more. Fabio Quartararo holds a 48-point lead starting from second. Will he get one hand on the MotoGP crown here today? Marc Marquez doesn't care about the championship one bit. He just wants his COTA title back. He'll start third. And Jorge Martin could pose a threat. The rookie starts from fourth on the Pramac Ducati. Good afternoon and welcome to the USA. We're at the Circuit of the Americas here in Austin, Texas, to bring you the 15th round of MotoGP 2021 with 4 races left. Can Fabio Quartararo get one hand on the title today, or will he be pegged back further by Pecco, who's on a hat-trick, having won the last 2 races at COTA as well? Over 30-degree air temperature as well, the hottest day of the weekend so far, and 41 on track. This is going to be a race of attrition. It's been a bumpy ride so far this weekend. 20 laps face the world's best riders here around this 20-corner circuit as well. Pecco Bagnaia is on pole position, and what a front row with Fabio Quartararo second and Marc Marquez, the king of COTA, starting from third. Steve Day, Matt Burt and Simon Crafar then to talk you through the main event of the weekend here in Austin. Really looking forward to this one, Matt.
Yeah, the stage is set. We're all ready for the Horsepower Rodeo, a classic encounter in store in MotoGP, and what lies in store for this young man, the brilliant 24-year-old Italian Pecco Bagnaia. Talk about a purple patch for the factory Ducati rider. 3 consecutive pole positions. The last Italian that did that in MotoGP was his mentor, Valentino Rossi, way back in 2009. And of course, he comes into this Austin round brimming with confidence. He converted the 2 poles previously in Aragon and in Misano into brilliant race victories, and of course he's trying to keep the pressure on. 48 points behind this man, Fabio Quartararo, going into this 15th round.
Quartararo has been sensational so far in 2021. Second place last time out in Misano must have felt like a win. He didn't care about the championship on that day. He might well start thinking about it now, though. This has been a tricky weekend for all MotoGP riders. He would take a podium here today. Is it going to be a battle between Marc Marquez and Pecco Bagnaia? Will Quartararo get his nose stuck in the business?
Yeah, Fabio Quartararo then didn't expect to be on the front row, but he is. Didn't expect to be over 0.3 of a second behind Pecco Bagnaia at the end of that exciting Q2 session. There are French fans out in force. It's a rapidly expanding Fabio Quartararo fan club around the world as he edges closer to a historic achievement, being France's first MotoGP world champion. But on the front row, there's going to be an onslaught, you know, coming from this man, Repsol Honda's Marc Marquez, the former king of COTA, desperate to get back on the throne. He's on the front row in 3rd place, and what a record here at this famous Texan venue. Marquez 6 wins out of 7, front rows in all 8 previous appearances. Here's a legend not just in these parts of the world but all around the world, Kevin Schwantz, the 1993 500cc world champion who played such an instrumental role in the design and development of the Circuit of the Americas. And what lies in store then for what will the Texan legend, the Sultan of Slide, be witnessing over the next hour and a quarter or so. There's that beautiful Schwantz tribute, of course, the font, the 34 design being run this weekend by Suzuki's current star, Joan Mir, the reigning world champion. The title slipping away, unfortunately, for the Spanish rider. It's not been an easy weekend at all for Joan Mir. An unwanted Texan barbecue yesterday for him. We had that spectacular flame-throwing blow-up down the back straight in FP4. Mir goes from 8th place on the 3rd row, just behind his teammate Alex Rins, who, of course, was our most recent race winner here in Kota.
Yeah, 67 points back on Quartararo. Feels like it's just too much for Joan Mir to be retaining his title. He would need a big result today, and for both Quartararo and Bagnaia to have really bad days at the office. There's Shinichi Sahara then, just having a chat to Kevin Schwantz. His teammate Joan Mir, also another rider to look out for, Alex Rins, starting alongside him on the grid, the most recent race winner here at Kota.
There's Pamat starting from 4th place on the grid on the Ducati GP21. That's his 6th top 5 in a row in qualifying sessions, playing down though his chances of fighting for the podium in this intense 20-lap battle. Jorge Martin says he thinks he's probably got speed for around top 6 or 7, but doubting that he'll be in that mix for the top 5.
Without giving away the results of Moto2 a moment ago, for those who haven't seen it, it's about limiting your mistakes around this circuit. It's so easy to make a mistake. It will be a race of attrition. Jack Miller here, unfortunately. Things were going swimmingly yesterday until qualifying 2, Matt.
Yeah, they were, and then Jack Miller just encountered problems that seemed to be following him around a little bit of late. He didn't name the tyre brand involved, but pretty clear where he felt the blame was, although Michelin did launch a staunch defence yesterday afternoon. Miller, though, has had fantastic pace. 2nd in both sessions on Friday. One of those, of course, was wet in FP1. He was brilliant pre-qualifying yesterday. Topped FP3, topped FP4. Don't count him out, though. Marc Marquez still feels like Miller can come through from 10th on the grid and be a danger man in this battle.
Just saw there Paco Bagnaia looking as cool and calm as ever, about to start his 3rd race on the trot from pole position, and in both of the previous races where he started on pole, he has come out on top. He has cut the lead in the World Championship to Fabio Quartararo, and needs to do the same here today if this is going to go all the way down to the wire.
So Joan Mir then, he knows it's going to be hard work coming from 8th place. This treacherously bumpy Kota surface has thrown a bit of a curveball to all the riders, but the Suzuki's been a handful in the hands of the world champion, the 23-year-old Spaniard. We saw those super slow motion replays on Friday at turn 10. The bucking Bronco, the horsepower rodeo, appropriate of course in this part of the world. The virtual fan wall, fans gathered all across the world. I'm sure there's a few people up early or up late to catch this first overseas Grand Prix since the opening rounds in Qatar. Fabio Quartararo then, what can he deliver? He knows that he's edging ever closer to MotoGP title glory. Surely Quartararo, he hasn't taken big risks of late, and surely now's not the time to start taking big risks with that healthy and commanding 48-point advantage over Bagnaia with just 4 races to go.
Yes, good morning, good afternoon and good evening to all of you watching from around the world. For some of you, it's actually a Monday morning race, I'm afraid, as Marc Marquez heads out on circuit. Still the bookies' favourite, Marc Marquez, and still one of the fan favourites is Valentino Rossi. It has not been the weekend he would have hoped for here, a rider with a good record at Kota, but his support remains loyal, and they are here to give a good send-off to Valentino Rossi. Unfortunately, Matt will have to start from 20th on the grid.
Yeah, it's been a difficult weekend so far for Valentino Rossi on his farewell to the American fans. What will be the tyre choice? Well, it seemed wide open for many riders in terms of the rear tyre. There's 2 hard compound asymmetric rear tyres in the allocation, medium and soft though, as always. Fabio Quartararo in the qualifying press conference yesterday said he could easily run any one of the compounds here this weekend. Looked like he was going to pick, though, the medium rear tyre. As always, he looked so good on that medium option in FP4 yesterday.
Here we are then in Austin after a 30-month absence because of COVID-19. Good to be back here. There's been so many complaints, though, about the bumps on the circuit. A few rumours in the paddock that we could have certain parts of it resurfaced before our return next year. But there is a 20-lap race coming up here, come what may. Doesn't matter what the riders think. They've had to put it to the back of their minds and head out in action. Are we going to see a rematch between Pecco Bagnaia and Marc Marquez like we did in Aragon?
Or will it be a rematch of Bagnaia versus Quartararo late on like it was in Misano? The top two men in this World Championship, without any question, are the top two men on the grid here today. And there's a great sight. Hollywood A-lister Orlando Bloom. He was riding around this famous Koto circuit yesterday, and here he is, a guest on the grid. Great to see Orlando Bloom here, of course, soaking up the atmosphere in Kota.
Yeah, good stuff. Nice to see. He's a big bike fan, a big two-wheel fan is Orlando Bloom. Of course, famous for his parts played in Lord of the Rings and Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, thank you, Valet. I think there's going to be a few people saying that over the course of the next 6 weeks or so as this man winds down towards the end of his illustrious and distinguished career. There's been a lot of support here, as you'd expect, for Valentino Rossi, but a pretty bruising day for him yesterday in qualifying. High-speed front-end washout at turn 6 has left Rossi, as Steve mentioned, on the back row of the grid.
Pecco Bagnaia then, he knows where pole position is based on his recent races. Back-to-back wins in Aragon and in Misano as well. 7 podiums, looking to become the first Ducati rider then to take 3 race wins on the trot since Stoner. The yellow flares are out here for Valentino Rossi.
Yeah, great scenes then in the grandstands here in Kota as Valentino Rossi comes to the grid for his farewell appearance on American soil. He's had some great success here previously. He's had some great success in Kota as well. Second to Marquez in 2017, second to Alex Rins, of course, in 2019, and another podium in 2015 as well. Not too sure there's too many people expecting Rossi to repeat those podiums here this afternoon, though, unfortunately.
Here is Marc Marquez then, third on the grid, the first time he's not started from pole position. Well, that's actually a lie, because of course he got penalised a few years back, but no one's really been able to get close to him. He made an unforced error, although later it was found out that perhaps not quite all his own fault. He wants to put the record straight. He wants to win here in Austin. He would be pretty upset if he's not victorious.
So here's your starting grid then for the Red Bull Grand Prix of the Americas. It's a third straight pole position for Pecco Bagnaia. 14 front rows in 15 for Fabio Quartararo, ahead of the ex-king of Kota, Marc Marquez. Row 2 led by Jorge Martin, Takaki Nakagami and Johan Zarco. Let's pop down onto this starting grid and talk to Repsol Honda's Marc Marquez. Can he reclaim the throne as king of Kota? He's with Simon now.
Marc, I have to admit, I didn't think you could do it coming in here with such a physical track, and your injury, you know, playing havoc with you. But watching all the practice, I've got to say you're my favourite coming into this race. More importantly, how do you feel?
I mean, it will be difficult. I mean, of course, one thing is a single lap. In a practice, you can manage 3 laps, stop, but during all the race, will be difficult. I'm struggling a lot on T1, and especially also the long right corner. But anyway, I feel strong. I mean, in some part of the circuit, still I can ride like the old Marc, and on the left corners, I'm able to be fast. It's true that the bumps will be another of the problems during all the race. You need to be really concentrated, but yeah, ready to enjoy it. Then we will see.
Best of luck. Thank you.
Great to hear from Marc Marquez. Not often we get to hear from the 8-time world champion. Who better to speak to on the grid than the king of Kota? Thanks, Simon. That was fascinating. 29 wins on clockwise circuits, 29.2% win rate, 28 wins on anti-clockwise circuits, a 68.3% win rate.
Yeah, paying homage to his dirt track background, isn't it? Previous visits on anti-clockwise tracks this year. There are a lot of support here for the 8 times world champion. Twice this year we've raced on anti-clockwise tracks, and Marc Marquez won in the Sachsenring, and he was second in Motorland Aragon after a fantastic and epic battle with Pecco Bagnaia. Perfect time then to find out of the pre-race thoughts of the Ducati team boss, Davide Tardozzi. Pecco Bagnaia on pole, Jack Miller with great race pace in 10th. Simon, down to you.
Yes, Davide, really interested to hear your thoughts. Pecco's been on fire lately, form-wise, and it seems like it's continuing here, but I know it's going to be a difficult one. Jack, very fast all through practice. Seemed like, listening to debriefs, that he had some sort of technical problem yesterday, so he's back in 10th or 11th. And I want to know what you think of both your guys. Can Jack still fight at the very front?
Yeah, we take also a different opportunity on the rear tire. We select something different from almost all the other guys of the grid. So we'll see if it pay. Jack for sure complicate a lot the race yesterday in qualify. He shows that he can be fast, but unfortunately he was not able to be where he deserved to be on the first two rows. But anyway, we think that he can make a good show today for the fans, and I think that he can fight for the top 5.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much to Davide Tardozzi. There is Jack Miller then. He's getting himself cool at the moment, keeping in the shade, 10th on the grid. And Marc Marquez fan very excited about the prospect of this 20-lap race.
Yeah, and Jack Miller has taken a bit of a punt here. He's the only rider that's come to the grid with a hard rear tyre. There's 2021 AMA 250cc motocross champion Jet Lawrence. Now then, he did a pre-event for Alpine Stars ahead of this Grand Prix. A bet is a bet now. If Marc Marquez does make it, 7 wins here in Côte today, then Marc Marquez has to eat a donut on the podium, courtesy of a bet with this young man, Jet Lawrence, who's making big waves in the American off-road scene right now. Just coming back to the tyre selection, Jack Miller, as we say, the only rider at the moment that came to the grid with the hard rear tyre. Davide Tardozzi confirming that he's gone for a bit of a left field tyre choice. The only other riders not on a soft rear tyre are Luca Marini and Valentino Rossi. Everybody to a man on the hard front tyre. So only Marini, Rossi and Miller, they're the trio that haven't gone for the soft rear.
On that 4th row, joining Jack Miller, we just saw Brad Binns out, making his way back onto the grid. He starts from 11th. Expect a hard charge from him as ever. And Pol Espargaro there on the Repsol. Started well. He's got work to do though. 12th on the grid for him.
Some impressive display from the American military on the grid ahead of this COTA battle. Entertaining the dignitaries and organisers. I can see Dornacio, Carmelo Espeleta enjoying some of the pre-race action here.
It's Alex Marquez starting from 15th. Hondas have not been too bad here this weekend, but Alex Marquez has struggled more than most. What can he do here? Comes on strong towards the end of races. It's his teammate that perhaps poses a slightly larger threat here today.
So grandstand.
Sorry, Matt.
No, I was just going to say grandstand's filling up quite nicely ahead of this COTA battle. Joan Mir then comes back to the grid. What can he do from 8th place? Can Suzuki make it back-to-back wins here in Austin, Texas?
The fans are waiting patiently. Let's go down onto the grid as you're looking here at some great pictures of Austin downtown. Shinichi Sahara down on the grid with Simon.
He is. Shinichi, I would love to hear your thoughts about today's race. I said to the camera guys last night, I believe that there's going to be probably 4 guys at the front, Ducatis and Honda, Yamaha, but I believe your Suzukis can be right there. And with the problems that can happen in this circuit, that it could be even end up on the podium at the end of the race. I want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough race for sure. The track condition is very difficult for everybody, I think. But you know, Alex likes this track very much. He has good memory. Actually, we have good memory in here. He keeps the concentration for the race. And this is not the best track layout for Joan, but his lap pace with race tire is pretty good. So I really hope we can fight in front today.
Best of luck.
Thank you, Simon.
Yeah, thanks very much to Shinichi Sahara there. Good luck to the Suzuki guys. They will start from 7th and 8th on the 3rd row. Here's Miguel Oliveira. He was hoping to be in the top 10 in every session, but unfortunately he's 18th on the grid after a couple of crucial crashes earlier in the weekend, Matt.
Yeah, we've also just seen Oleh Spargo, who's had a very tricky weekend on the factory Aprilia as well. 4 crashes for the Spanish rider. A lot of work for those two to do. Oliveira starts 18th on the Red Bull KTM machine. Oleh Spargo 1 place behind him in 19th spot. Jorge Martin getting on some fluids, getting rehydrated. It's going to be crucial. This is going to be a long race, probably the toughest race of his rookie season for Jorge Martin, and still, of course, not fully recovered from those multiple fractures he had at the round 3 in Portimao.
Let's go down onto the grid. Simon is standing by with Massimo Meregali. What are his thoughts pre-race here for Fabio Quartararo, the World Championship leader? Down to you, Si.
Yes, I am with Mayo, and I'm really looking forward to hearing Mayo's thoughts because, I mean, Fabio's been so good this year. He's just so consistent, always there. I know it's going to be hard today, but I'd love to know where you believe he can finish.
It's difficult to believe something because, you know, here there are no any certains, and we work well, and even this morning we have been able to make the bike for him a bit more comfortable on the bike, on the bumps. The rhythm he had this morning was very good. Luckily we had the time to compare the soft rear because until this morning we didn't thought about that, and that is the choice for this afternoon. In my opinion, it won't be easy for any rider because even physically here is going to be very difficult, very demanding to do 20 laps. The temperature also is very hot, and they can't have any rest unless on the back straight, because on the bumps they can't have any relax. I think he has to try to be calm at the beginning, and then I think slowly maybe the group will split little by little. But in my opinion, we have a good possibility to leave this place with some points.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Well, I would hope so. For Fabio Quartararo's sake, he certainly wants to leave with some points. He wants to leave with some big points as well to limit the damage being done. Will be fascinating to see how this one pans out. We've just been hearing about Fabio Quartararo. Franco Morbidelli will start from 13th. This is going to be a bit of a brutal test for the Italian, Matt.
Yeah, not an easy circuit to come back for just your second race after that serious left knee injury. A lot of high-speed change direction, a lot of hard braking as well. Franco Morbidelli goes from 13th on the grid.
We'll take a pause. It's the American national anthem.
Of the United States of America, the United States Navy, and the United States Marine Corps, the Color Guard from the University of Texas Naval Reserve Officer Training Corps. And now to sing our national anthem, musician second class Emily Kershaw from the Navy Band, Southeast.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Great stuff here on the grid then. The American national anthem and the fans loved every single second of that. Don't be surprised if you hear a rocket or two going overhead, because there's going to be an aerial display coming over very shortly, and they always catch us by surprise in the commentary box. The American fans are well up for this one.
They really are, yeah. They're all pumped and ready to go for this show in the Circuit of the Americas. It's the horsepower rodeo. And who is going to power themselves to 25 points? Will it be Pecco Bagnaia? Can he make it 3 races in a row? Here comes the aerial show.
Not long to wait before we get racing here in Texas. Here is Alex Rins, the most recent winner in COTA, the only rider on the grid to have won in all classes here in Austin, 7th on the grid.
Yeah, the only man who's won at this race in MotoGP than Marc Marquez, if you believe in omens. Last time out, 2019, started 7th and took the race win. Alex Rins will certainly be hoping that history repeats itself here this afternoon.
Five minutes until the warm-up lap begins. Let's head down onto the grid and see what the chances are for KTM today. Brad Binder in particular, starting from 11th on the grid. Down to you, Simon.
Yes, Mike, I'd love to hear what you feel is possible today for the KTM riders. It kind of feels like one of those races, especially Brad, could rescue something. What do you think?
It's very, very difficult to say now on that race, because the sessions are, and the track was in a way very strange, you know. You don't see constant lap times, you don't really see what riders are doing or able to do. So yeah, we only can push to the maximum. The riders will do that, and yeah, at the end count where we will arrive in the start finish line.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, best of luck to Mike Leitner and the Red Bull KTM factory team. It is always difficult to predict what Brad Binder's going to do. What you can be sure of is that he will be hard charging from 11th on the grid, the number 33.
Yeah, sandwiched in between Jack Miller, who we know is going to be aggressive at the start and try to get temperature early on into that hard rear tyre. Jack Miller, we remind you, the only rider that looks like he's going to be starting this 20-lap COTA battle with the Michelin hard rear tyre. And what can this man do? Desperate to reclaim the crown as the king of COTA. There's his incredible record here. 6 wins, 6 podiums, 7 pole positions for Marc Marquez.
Simon, quickly down to you. You've got some thoughts on Aleix Espargaro ahead of this one.
Yeah, Aleix has had a really tough time. First time, really, Aleix and the Aprilia haven't been so competitive. You know, all year they have. And it seems like every time he pushes, he falls, you know. And typical rider, I don't think he wants to go slow in the race. So I think the chance of him falling is really high. Sorry, Aleix and Aprilia fans. It's just how it is at this track for him.
Thanks very much for your observations there, Simon. You're just looking at the 2 men in the championship then. For the 7th consecutive race, Fabio Quartararo and Pecco Bagnaia share the front row. 3rd on the grid then is Marc Marquez, looking to recapture his crown. Is he going to get out front and bolt? He's done it so often here in the past.
Well, that was what Pecco Bagnaia fears this man will try and do. He's certainly capable of doing it. What lies in store then for Marc Marquez here at COTA?
What a front row here in Texas. Marc Marquez, Fabio Quartararo and Pecco Bagnaia all opting for the same hard front, soft rear option.